Welcome to this morning's edition of Bury Your Bookie. I'm Jeff DeForest. Very happy to have you guys with us here as we're just a couple of days away from trying to complete the ultimate trifecta, and that would be the Turkey Day three-team parlay. Money line, with the points, all kinds of proposition bets. It's going to be a very festive occasion, and I hope it is for you and your family and the people that you're going to be celebrating the holiday with. We wish everybody all the best. That's coming up, and we will be with you on Thanksgiving Day. But today, I want to begin with the three most astonishing things that I either heard or saw yesterday. And we'll save the best for last because this is really classic. As you look at, first, let's start at the very beginning there. The Maui Classic. One of the things that you love about college basketball, good teams play each other early in the season. The top teams aren't afraid to incur a couple of losses early on. It doesn't really impact the outcome of the national championship chase overwhelmingly so. May affect somewhere down the line the seeding in the tournament, but we all know that that's going to be favorable for Duke. And maybe now UConn, no matter what happens. And that's where we begin with astonishing things that took place yesterday. Danny Hurley crying about the officiating as if Tim Donaghy was one of the officials in this game that they had. They lost in overtime to Memphis by 2 points, so they lose straight up at prohibitive odds. Ranked number 2 in the country. Very good team, likely to challenge for the national championship again. Danny Hurley has acquitted himself as an outstanding coach, if not a bit of a maniac at the same time. And maybe he seems like a decent guy when you catch him in interviews. Very emotional cat. But somewhat insufferable when he's on the sidelines. Is that a fair way of putting it? And for him to be crying, I mean, in this particular call where he was incensed and he fell to the ground like he was at some gospel meeting or revival, where Benny Hinn touches you on the forehead and the guy just falls to the ground. All of a sudden he gets up, he can walk again. He's on his knees and he literally falls to the ground after being outraged by a call that was made, an over-the-back call against one of his players going in for an offensive rebound. And if you're in any park in the country, I don't care where you are. You could be at Rucker Park in Harlem. And a guy comes over the back like that on an attempt for an offensive board and then scores a key bucket. And you scream, "I got it." Nobody's going to fuck with you because it was a legitimate foul. There's no question about it. You watch it 100 times. And you would think, okay, that's going to be called every time, at every juncture of the ball game, beginning, middle, end. Hurley had no beef there whatsoever. Interesting, too, that Donaghy, who was, of course, the disgraced referee who was found to have been involved in fixing games, he's winking to the Gambino family. Don't worry, I'm going to put him on the stripe. And he is now a guy that's in the sports betting service business, where he's out there selling picks and advising people on who to play. That's kind of interesting. It's sort of like, the current state of the cabinet and politics, where no matter how much of a criminal you are, it even enhances your qualifications for going out there and doing the job. Hey, if you are betting, BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting. Wanted to get this in. We'll get to the other two outrageous things. From the earliest odds to in-game betting and live betting as the games are taking place, BetOnline provides you with an opportunity to be in action during the course of the games itself. And you can watch them, you can bet them, you can make all kinds of changes, whatever you want to do. I'm hedging off on this one. With the largest selection of odds on everything from football, NBA, NHL to entertainment and political props, head to BetOnline today to get in on all the action with America's most trusted site for online wagering. BetOnline. The game starts here. All right, so quickly here, we're going to have Scotty M join us here for his usual Tuesday skull session with us here on the show. Although, as I said, last week was not a good one. It was not favorable for our handicappers as the burial was in reverse. And we really took one on the chin there. They're spreading our ashes at the 16th pole at Gulfstream Park, where most of our horses all died. Second case was something I read from Action Sports, which a lot of people think it's a good idea to just go ahead and bet against anything that they advise you on. I don't know that you're going to hold up all that well under that scenario, but you might want to pick your spots. Let's put it that way. And a gentleman named Mike Calabrese is suggesting that you take a shot with South Carolina to win the college football championship this year. Now, they're 5-2. They're plus 250 to even make it into the college football playoff. They're on the road against Clemson as a 2.5-point dog coming up this week. Obviously, a stepping stone game of great significance because that could put them into the picture to possibly make it into the. It certainly enhances their chances of making the postseason, although not a definite. The college football playoff, and at 200-1, then can they win a game and put you in a position to hedge? Kind of interesting. You could explain away a couple of their losses. They were nail biters against LSU and Alabama, quality teams at the time. And so with 3 losses, can they make it into the college football playoff? And if they do, could they possibly, as like an 11th or 12th seed, knock off one of the heavyweights in an early round and put you in a position to go ahead and have the magic Shakespearean question to ask yourself, to hedge or not to hedge? And then the final thing is, and we're going to bring in Scotty M here because he may want to weigh in on this. But how outrageous is this? Of all the places that you could turn to try and get advice about how you can end the most hideous and longest drought in the National Football League currently ongoing, and that would be the New York Jets. Of all the places you could go to seek advice as to who should be in charge of guiding you down a new glorious path as head coach and general manager, how could you possibly turn to Mike Tannenbaum to go ahead? Tannenbaum is like infusing embalming fluid into your organization. He buried the New York Jets, and after he left there, he came to South Florida and absolutely cremated the Miami Dolphins. They're still trying to figure out the way out of the mess that he created here. So he buries 2 organizations. He has a site called the 33rd Team. I guess it's some kind of a journalistic source there, and it's well respected by people in the industry, surprisingly so, because as we welcome in Scotty M, I say the name Mike Tannenbaum. Do you immediately not start hearing the song Send in the Clowns in your head? I mean, this guy, he buried the Jets and then buried the Miami Dolphins, and then he goes off and he becomes an analyst and a commentator, and people are seeking his advice as to how to run the franchise. What do you make of that, my friend? The world is upside down. How are you?
I'm doing great, Defo. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing all right. I'm, contemplating a lot of things, and we're really trying to figure out, and we want to get your opinion on this to start us out this week. Where to go? I mean, will you be involved in a 3-team NFL Thanksgiving Day parlay? Is that an obligation in the Scotty M household to have action somehow tying the 3 games together?
Well, I am going to have action, and it's not going to be on 3 games, but I am definitely looking at one of the games on Thursday that I'll talk about when we go into the picks a little later on. Definitely a fiasco last week. I apologize to the audience out there. Had my worst week all season long. Just couldn't get anything right. Even on Sunday with the Dolphin total, I had the under 46, 47 points. And obviously New England goes for it on a 4th and 4. Doesn't make it, gives the Dolphins the ball 1st and 10 on the 38-yard line. They kick a cheesy field goal to make that game go over. So, just a bad week. It happens, unfortunately.
It's happening almost as a matter of routine to a lot of people. Now, last week, literally, and we were warning people, Scotty M, are you doing any traveling for the holidays by any chance? Or you're sitting at home at the Scotty M mansion there in Parkland?
Yes, I'm going to be staying home with my family. A couple of friends coming over. Going to have a nice little Thanksgiving with my daughters back home from Alabama, and we're gonna have a little, just some family and some friends over, chilling out. Got a lot of work going on this time of the year, Defo. Very hard for me to travel because when I'm traveling, obviously I can't put the time in that I normally would. When I'm home, I'm very focused on the games. Even though I had a shit week last week, being focused. Unfortunately for me, was
It
a
happens. It does. It
yeah.
happens.
I mean, it's just sometimes you can't get it right. I mean, I used teams that made sense to me, and unfortunately, it backfired on me. But yeah, no, I'm going to stay home. I'm going to chill out. I got a lot of work ahead of me. I'm looking. There's a lot of college basketball going on now, the NBA. So this is a good time of the year for me to stay focused and try to help my clients get through the holidays and make them some profits.
I don't know if you saw this. I was talking about it because it was sensational yesterday to see some of the absurdities, the hypocrisies that were taking place. And there was one guy making a case. I don't know what you make of this because they're 5-2 to get into the college football playoff. A guy named Mike Calabrese was making a case for South Carolina. Put a little taste on South Carolina to win it all at 200 to 1. Now, this is kind of like betting Kentucky Derby futures in the sense that you don't know if the horse is even going to make it into the race. So even though you might be getting long odds on a particular animal that you've taken a look at, there's more than a 90% possibility that that horse never makes it into the field. So that's possible with South Carolina. But would you give any credibility to the idea of taking this team at 200 to 1, thinking that maybe, especially if they make it into the field, you find yourself in a position to hedge? If they can win one game, all of a sudden that bet looks pretty good.
Well, I got to be honest with you. I'm agreeing. One of my plays this week, to be honest with you, is South Carolina. I feel they can take that momentum, that 5 straight games in a row they've won. They're playing very well right now. Since they lost Alabama 27-25, I was actually at that game. That was homecoming week up in Bama that week, so I was at the game. They did play Alabama very, very tough in that game. Since then, they've been a whole different team, taking it to a whole different level, winning 5 straight games in a row. I think this Clemson team is not as strong as Clemson teams in the past. They got a good solid season going at 9-2. And to answer your question, no, I don't think that South Carolina is the type of team I would be putting my money on to win the national championship. As far as this week goes, I think they got a great shot to win. I look at numbers. I'm a numbers guy. I'm staring at this game really hard for the last several days. And Clemson to only be 2.5 at home in a spot like this, I felt the number should have been 4.5. I think the odds makers made a little, they made this number soft for a reason, because they probably feel the same way I do, that this South Carolina team has a big shot in this game. So they're trying to make this number right so they can get tracked action both ways on a game like this. Most people will probably the public will probably jump all over Clemson, feeling this is a soft number. And they're saying Clemson at home less than a field goal. Oh, it looks too appetizing for me. We're going to grab it. I disagree with that grabbing. I like South Carolina. I would buy that line up to 3.5. I would go above the field goal and go to 3.5. I think they got a big shot, Defo, to win this game because their momentum right now is carrying them in a good direction. And this, like I said, Clemson team is not, performing at the highest levels. They're finding ways to win some games. But I think they're going to run into a buzzsaw with this South Carolina offense and defense and have a shot to win it.
That sounded like one of your official selections here on the program.
Yes, it is an official selection. Correct.
Just last week. And the reason I asked if you were traveling on the holiday is because we were going to warn people if you were getting on a flight that they might want to make other travel arrangements after we just went down in flames all across the board. Troy West, Mike Jones, the professor. It was just an ugly week. So we're hoping to bounce back for the holidays and give everybody a little extra Christmas spending money. This I feel obligated to pass along, Scotty M. And we haven't mentioned this particular degenerate during the course of the Bury Your Bookie sessions that we've had. I know you're familiar with my good friend who goes by the name the Pauly Man.
Yes.
From my many days on the radio with this gentleman. And, of course, he was a fixture at many casinos and racetracks for the entirety of the time that I've been here, over 40 years in South Florida. And the guy is one of these degenerates that goes all the way back old school. I think as an 8-year-old, he was selling the clocker sheets from some little booth outside of Aqueduct there. And he may have even been at one time the mass jockey. Anyway, he's familiar with a guy that he refers to only as the football guy, an anonymous source for selections. And this guy, you talk about discipline and playing sparingly. He's been sending me these picks all year. The guy is now 18-4 against the spread for the season.
Wow.
Picking a very select. I mean, you're talking. Last week he had no plays. Imagine this: you're rolling. You're fucking 18-4. You're at the track. You've just hit like 7 out of the first 9 races. Of course, you're betting the 10th, Scotty M. Even if you don't like anything, you're gonna. Let me just box 4 horses in a trifecta. See if I can't come out with a bigger score. This guy passes on the entire card, both college and pro last week. So that's some serious discipline. Maybe that's why he's 18-4 on the season. And so, am I not obligated at this point? And I've been sitting here with my finger up my ass. I haven't played one of these selections all year long, not one. Just watching it, and that's why I mean it's credible. But he's come out with 2 early plays this week, one of which may involve a game that you're going to talk about. And he likes Arizona, the Arizona Cardinals, +4 against a very depleted 49er team who we saw what wasn't exactly any juggernaut powerhouse that we're used to seeing from this club, even though some of the names were still out there. But you got a backup quarterback in there. McCaffrey doesn't seem to have returned at full strength. You've had Debo Samuel in and out. Their left tackle, who is the key to the whole running game, he's been busted up and is out of action. A lot of reasons to go against the 49ers. He likes Arizona +4, and he likes the Dolphins +3. He had him at 3.5. The reason he came out with these early picks. And that line, I think, is dipped now, has it not, Scotty M? The Dolphins-Packers line, is it at 3?
Yes, it's a solid 3, and I think you made a mistake on the matchup. Arizona's not playing San Francisco. Buffalo's playing San Francisco
Yeah. Okay.
this weekend. Buffalo's a 7-point favorite against a banged-up 49er team. Arizona, I believe, is playing. I forgot exactly who they're playing because I really wasn't looking at that game. But
They're playing. They're playing the Vikings. Sorry
right,
about that. Yeah,
okay.
Vikings. He likes Arizona getting the 4 points against the Vikings. Vikings have kind of been fading a little bit. I mean, that was a disaster if you had the Vikings and you were laying 3.5
Yeah.
in this game. They're up 14 points in the fourth quarter against the Bears team that's going nowhere, and they end up in overtime. And then, of course,
Kick the
lose
field
a
goal.
coin flip, and that to the better, you're fucked at that point if you're laying 3.5.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. These games, I'll tell you, it's amazing how some of the games come down to some of the craziest plays to decide them and send, either make a final decision on them or send them further into overtimes. They kind of take the money right out of your pocket. It's just an unbelievable year. I've seen so many games just flip out of nowhere and just you're thinking you're going to win them and then you end up losing them. It's just crazy.
All right, so we have one of your selections, right? That would be South Carolina. And
Yes.
you're taking them +2.5 over Clemson on the road in a huge ball game. And the recommendation is Passeru and this guy's cockamamie theory. It's Buster Douglas-esque, is it not? Although you could have made a case that maybe when Mike Tyson in that fight at 45-1 as a favorite was training on sake and geisha girls, which he could have well been for this latest fiasco with Jake Paul, who, and you heard this, right? That Jake Paul is in negotiations to fight Jimmy Carter. They're going to bring Jimmy Carter
Yeah, in a wheelchair.
wheelchair. The guy's in hospice, for Christ's sake.
Yeah, yeah, that's crazy.
I mean, this guy is such a master marketer. He probably end up generating record gates for that. They bring a corpse into the ring there in a coffin, sadly, and Paul will dance literally on his grave and declare himself the greatest boxer of all time. All right, so we have South Carolina +2.5 against Clemson. What else you want to go with, Scotty?
I got a couple of more college games that like I said, I've been looking at these games since Sunday night when the first numbers came out. And, early indications to me are good indications. I like Boston College at home against Pittsburgh. The wheels have fallen off the bus with this Panthers team of late. They lost 4 straight games in a row after starting out the season 7-0. They got quarterback issues. Their quarterback's out. He's questionable. The starting quarterback again this week. I don't think they have a shot against BC, who plays really well at home. They're 5-1 at home. They're a different team when they're home. They're making them a 4.5, 5-point favorite in this game. I'm agreeing with that line. I think BC is definitely the better of the two teams at this point in time, just for the simple fact that Pittsburgh's not finding ways. They're finding ways to lose games where they were finding ways to come back and win in that 7-game stretch. They're 7-4 after starting out 7-0. But I like Boston College in this game. I think it's a big play for the Eagles. They want to continue their winning ways, building up a little steam going into the bowl game season. So I like Boston College. I think that just the stronger play, especially with the home field advantage and the quarterback situation for Pittsburgh. Since the quarterback's banged up, they're not the same team. So I like Boston College to roll in this game. I think they're going to win this game by at least 7 to 14 points and get the job done pretty handily.
All right, going with BC, laying points against Pittsburgh at home. South Carolina already in the books there for Scotty M over the weekend. Where else are you looking?
I think the hottest team in the country right now in college football. I mean, you could talk about this South Carolina team, but how about this Notre Dame team? I mean,
Yeah.
all they're doing is blowing everyone out of the stadium that they're playing. The last 6 games in a row, no one's been within 18 points of this team. Nobody. I mean, they're literally blowing everyone out in front of them. They're playing a USC team that to me is like, yeah, they won their last couple of games in a row. They don't look much to me at all. I mean, now you're playing a powerhouse that's averaging 39 points a game. They're blowing everyone out. Their defense is amazing. They're only allowing 11 a game on defense, totally dominating on both sides of the ball. I think they blow this team out. They're 4-0 on the road. I mean, they're playing as good as anybody in the nation right now in college football. Quietly, just moving up the charts. This team is a team that you might want to consider to win the national championship because they are full steam ahead and they're just doing what they're supposed to do. Go out there and play the game the right way on both sides. They're finding ways to cause turnovers. Their offense is excellent. I say they blow USC right out, and the line on this game is about 7 points. I don't see them losing this game less than double, winning this game by less than double digits. I love Notre Dame, Fighting Irish, boom, to get the job done.
Yeah, they've been cremating their opposition, and I think their average win or average margin of victory is like 30 points or something along those lines.
Yeah, well, no one's come. Yeah, they've been just blowing everybody out, and they're just steadily doing it on both sides of the ball. They're finding ways to score. They're finding ways to stop their opponents, cause turnovers. USC doesn't have the firepower like they used to. They're not averaging that many points a game. I mean, to be honest with you, I just see the Fighting Irish going in there, and just doing what they need to do and win this game handily. Keep moving up the polls. Going right now, they're number 6 in the nation. Maybe they get into the top 3 or top 4, whatever the case is. They're just playing great football, 9 in a row. I'll take a shot with them all day long.
And surprisingly, because they are Notre Dame, and I don't know if the luster has kind of dimmed on those golden domes, but I haven't heard a lot of people talking about them. I was going to ask you if you thought they had a shot to win a national championship, and you stated, yeah, they're worthy of
Well, they really
consideration.
do. They
Yeah,
really do. I mean, they're playing as good as anybody out there. I mean, they're winning their games handily. You could say, well, their schedule's not as good as some of the other teams. I mean, I buy into that. I mean, it came into play last week with Indiana and Ohio State. I guess finally Indiana, came into the buzzsaw game. But, the bottom line is they made a lot of mistakes in that game against Ohio State, too. I mean, they started off, they drove all the way down the field. I'm like, wow, look at this. Right down the field, 7-0, like nothing right from the get go, and then after that just fell apart. Made
sure.
a lot of mistakes, but I think this Notre Dame team very well coached, knows what to do. Professional type of organization, obviously for a college football team, and I think they have a great shot to win in the national championship. If they stay on pace and stay on course like they are right now, it's going to be tough to beat them.
You're tempted to line up a cigar at that point, right? You're getting 14 points or something in that neighborhood. Your team drives down the field and scores. Now you're up 20 fucking 1.
Right.
And you're feeling pretty good about yourself, right?
Yeah.
It's like that first date that went sensationally well. With
Yep.
the hottest girl that you've ever met in your lifetime.
Well, they
And
made mistakes that they haven't made all season in one game. They really made a lot of mistakes. It cost them. It cost them field position. It cost them, turning the ball over. I mean, Ohio State won the game. Don't get me wrong, but they got a lot of help from Indiana to win the game. They didn't really do it on their own. They did it because Indiana made some crucial mistakes that gave them such great field position that it made it too easy for Ohio State not to win it.
I think I'm going to rewatch Rudy again. Just to inspire me, maybe to take a little sniff with Notre Dame. That's what it would take, because I've despised Notre Dame my entire college football viewing lifetime. I don't even like them in basketball there, and never did. But yeah, I mean, and Rudy was offsides, was he not on that play? Have you? If there's
Yeah.
instant replay in the movie Rudy, Rudy is offsides, and the whole story vanishes, and we don't have to suffer through any more emotional breakdowns by people who are involved with hoping that Rudy would get into the ball game. We've all been in that position though, where we're just hoping to get a shot. All right, you mentioned you had something on Thursday.
Yes.
Turkey Day games. I'm hoping you're looking at the most challenging one, which is Green Bay and the Miami Dolphins, at
Yeah.
least from my viewpoint.
I don't think, I think that I was right about 4 weeks ago. I said I thought I saw the pace and the steam starting to move in the right direction for the Dolphins. And since then, they've won 3 straight games in a row. I thought they played great against Buffalo, even though they lost that game. They gave Buffalo all they could handle in a tough environment. Since then, they've just done what they're supposed to be doing, which is winning ball games. This Green Bay team, to me, is yeah, they're 8-3. They find ways to win. I love Jordan Love, obviously. I think he's a talent, but he finds ways sometimes to make mistakes in crucial games against tough opponents. And I think this Dolphins defense is playing different right now. They're playing at a whole different level than they were early in the season. So I think both the offense and the defense has come together at the right time for the Dolphins. As you see, they're starting to play great football. The line on this game, I scratched my head. I mean, why is it only 3 points? Green Bay at home, playing well. Dolphins, yeah, they're playing better, obviously, but still a losing record for the year, going into a tough environment where the weather conditions could be. I'm looking at the weather. That's more important to me right now.
Yes.
But the line on the game is just showing me that I got to jump all over the Dolphins in this game. I got to be honest, because this line should not be a 3. This line should have been a 4.5 point spread. Definitely solid number. It came out at 3. It hasn't jumped off the 3 yet early in the week. But I like the Dolphins. I like the way they're playing on both sides of the ball. I think they got some really good momentum in their favor right now. They could take advantage of a team like Green Bay that can, you see Love tries to force things. He always tries to do some crazy stuff at times, and that could come back to haunt them. But I think the momentum of the Dolphins is going to carry them in this game, and I like them to win the game. I think they got a shot to win this game and win their 4th in a row.
Right. Yeah. That's one of the things you're looking at a team with tremendous momentum right now. Tua Tagovailoa has been more accurate than Drew Brees. I mean, the guy's completed about 75% of his passes.
Yeah, well,
They seem to have gotten back into sync with,
right.
and they added in a new weapon there with Jonnu Smith, who they picked up, and he's become a major factor in not only taking pressure off of Waddle and a banged up Tyreek Hill, but has certainly helped the passing game immensely
Yep.
since his insertion into the lineup. Green Bay, I mean, completely dismantled a dismembered
Yeah.
San Francisco 49er team last week, and that's why I was anybody against the 49ers right now, you would think would be a play. The line being 3 points is a little bit suspect. I don't know if anybody's, you would imagine, have you taken a look at a potential weather forecast there? Because if you could book the Weatherman's action, you would be a rich man today. Usually they're dead wrong, but is this going to be watching Chuck Mercine catching laterals from Bart Starr and skating around the left side there to set up that game-winning touchdown quarterback sneak in the Ice Bowl, or are we going to see? I mean, the conditions, I didn't even recognize that as Lambeau Field when the Packers were playing Sunday night against the 49ers.
Yeah.
I mean, it looked like they were playing somewhere in outdoors in Arizona or something. It looked great.
Yeah, no, the weather condition was good last time. I mean, as long as you don't have the snow and then the field becomes a mess. I mean, to be honest with you, the Dolphins, it would be tough sledding for them if it was, the field was a mess and everything
Yes.
else. Not that it couldn't cause turnovers anyways from either side, but I still like the Dolphins in this game. I think, like you said, they're rallying around Tua somehow, both on offense and defense. You see the defense gets into it. You see the defense is jacked up, and the offense is playing well. They just seem to have that spark right now, and until I see them kind of drop off that spark, I'm going to ride with the Dolphins. I think that this team could go on one of those runs. As I said about 4 weeks ago, I liked them right at that point when they lost to Buffalo. I felt that I saw the team could turn it around and start winning some games. So far, I'm looking pretty good with that. They've won 3 straight since. But I think this Dolphins team is a real team, and I think they can play well. I think they could beat a team like Green Bay and take advantage of it. And again, I'm a numbers guy. I'm looking at this game. I'm saying, why 3 in this environment, in this situation? Gotta like the Dolphins. Really do.
The Finns, though, do have an horrific record in cold weather games. I'm not sure what the cutoff is, if it's like 40 degrees or whatever it is, but whatever that number is, and they're like 0-15 lifetime in games in that kind of temperature. So it might be even a more absurd number than that. That sounds a little bit low, but yeah, they've had tough times experience, as we witnessed ourselves probably and experienced just a couple of nights ago. I'm sitting outside it's like mid 50s, and I've got a blanket and a sweatshirt on here, and my blood is thinned out to the point from being in Florida for 40 some odd years that even the slightest drop in temperature, and you feel like you're ready to eat the person's next to you's flesh as they pass away, like you were in the movie Alive. All right, speaking of staying alive, Scotty M, I know it wasn't a pretty week for us last week, but nonetheless, you have had massive success over your 30 some odd years of doing this. So, how can people follow you? You have Instagram, all kinds of stuff going, TikTok. You're on everything.
Yes, I am. Yep, we're out there on social media, guys, for you to check us out. Check us out each and every day. I put out free pics on Instagram. I put out free pics on TikTok. We have opportunities to get in on some private service. If you're interested in contacting me, the best way to reach me is through my Instagram account, which is SM Sports Picks, Picks. Shoot me a DM. Whatever I could do to help you out, try to give you that winning edge. I mean, it's all about doing the right thing at the end of the day. I know everyone puts a lot of emphasis on these games. Each game they put it all on the line with us. But guys, listen, it's a long-term business. I've been doing this since the late '80s. It's not about one game making a break in your 6-year career. So just follow what we do. Check it all out. If we can give you that edge, we'd love to help you out.
21 and a hook is the number in our household. 21 and a hook, over, under, weight of the turkey. That's on the thing. Do you guys take action on that in the Scotty M household?
What do you got going on for Thanksgiving, Defo? You got some family?
I got a family thing going on. My son ends up hosting a very, very nice and festive Thanksgiving deal. And so, looking very much forward to that. Grandkids running around the whole thing.
You enjoy your family and friends, and I'll catch you back here, I guess, next week.
Yes, absolutely. Well, we'll be back again. Now, thanks.
There it is. There's the dog.
Dogs are barking, my friend. They're barking. South Carolina, 200-1. All right, thanks. Scotty M, ladies and gentlemen, with us here on the show. So, recapping, he likes South Carolina plus 2.5 over Clemson. Would not advise that you take the opportunity to buy a ticket on South Carolina to win it all at 200-1. Look, you have to really expand your imagination and the parameters that you use and guidelines in betting to come up with a 200-1 shot. So, I mean, it's not like it's going to make perfect sense. He likes Boston College. I had that game at 6. He was talking about 4.5, 5, but that was yesterday's line. Boston College over Pittsburgh. He likes Notre Dame to romp over USC, and the Miami Dolphins on Thanksgiving Day to taking 3 points and getting 3 points to cover the spread and probably win outright against the Green Bay Packers in what could be, unless it's the Ice Bowl. Harbaugh Bowl last night. Baltimore over the LA Rams 30-23. So the Ravens cover and once again give rise to hope that our friend Dylan Rossi can cash that $480,000 ticket on a $50 bet that he made, which combined it would be 5 overall champions in various sports. The Ravens being the last link in that chain. That was impressive what they did last night. And the football guy, we introduced him out of moral obligation. A guy's 18-4. We feel compelled to give you his picks, and this is legit. He 18-4 in the season, passed last week, right? Anybody else would have papered the house with all kinds of tickets, just taking a shot, have some action. But no, this is extreme discipline, Billy Walters-esque. And he likes the Dolphins. He was getting it at plus 3.5. Came out with this and caught the early line. So he agrees with Scotty M on that game and likes the Arizona Cardinals versus Minnesota. Sorry about that. I was looking at the wrong matchup there. But nonetheless, he likes him over Minnesota, and it makes a little bit of sense. I think it's a more difficult task to beat Minnesota by or be within 4 of Minnesota than it would have been the 49ers, who look like they'll probably win outright now that I said this. But look like, as I said, they haven't even been suffering injuries. They've been dismembered so far this year. All right, we will see you guys tomorrow. We'll be with you on Thursday and Friday with our usual assortment of handicapping input. Troy West will join us tomorrow. We'll have Mike Jones with us on Thursday and the Professor on Friday. And we'll be with you all throughout the week here on NoFilter.net. Thanks for tuning in. For Scotty M, I'm Jeff DeForest, and we'll see you next time on the next edition of Bury Your Bookie.